Hot is hardly the word for our guest today, Mark Hennig. This is a trainer, 31 years old, and anytime he's got a first starter, there are rumors Hennig has a good one. Mark, welcome to the show, and you are really having a banner year.
Well, good to be here, Harvey. Yeah, we've been very fortunate. You know, we just keep at it and hope things continue to go this well.
But you're 31 years old. You shouldn't be this successful so fast. Now, I remember you forever. I mean, as long as I thought you must start when you were about 10. When did you first begin training?
I started, I went to work for Wayne when I was 22. I had worked for my father growing up. I spent a little time in California working for Jack Vanberg and went to work for Wayne in September of '87. Worked for him until '92 when Team Valor offered me a job as a contract trainer.
So Team Valor took you on. Let's explain Team Valor. Team Valor is one of those people like Dogwood, very successful syndicating horses.
Right, right. And I fortunately had a half a dozen outside horses at the time. It was just part of the contract, and you know, we got off to a big start.
Yeah, you did start very well. How does that? It can't be just luck.
A lot of it's luck. I mean, you can't do it without the stock, and I think jockeys, trainers, and even owners can recognize that. You know, I was fortunate enough. Star Cozine came back from France that first year. I had one of my outside horses was Personal Hope, and Edward Evans. I had Mini Dar and a few stakes winners for him right off the bat. So it was just good timing.
I was looking at your bio in our media guide, and I said, guy must be in his 50s. I'm very serious. Won the Arlington Million, won this, won that, and it's really fabulous.
Yeah, well, you know, hope the luck continues.
Well, it's not luck completely, and you got a few right now. We're going to look at one of them right now. Now, the point is you're no longer just training for Team Valor. You're now really a public
Right,
trainer.
I went public last April 1st and have got quite a few clients now, really steady clients that have been backed me, you know, 100%, and a guy like Mr. Dragone that we went through a lot of last place finishes before we came up with one that could run a little bit.
But you sure did come up with one. Her name is Danseuse. We're going to look at her. She won her first start. The horse that she beat, incidentally, came back and won against winners easily. So that just puts the perspective into the race we're about to look at. This is her second start. As Mark will admit, the rail wasn't too good that day, and here she is. What did you tell the rider?
Well, I didn't tell Jose anything, really. I mean, we were pretty confident going into the race, and you know, she broke a little slow. It was not desirable to have the one hole, ideally, because we wanted to get her a little more experience. Had she had an outside post, we probably would have been able to stalk a little bit, but she got away a little slow, and I think Jose kind of pushed the button to keep from getting in trouble, and it was basically over.
Would that have been the deal with a filly like this? If you had drawn outside, you would have said to him, don't go for the lead if you don't have to. Teach her to
right, ideally. I mean, she stalked off of that filly Capote Bell in the first start, and she relaxes really well. I mean, she's very push-button during a race, so I think if it had come up properly, he might have been able to do that.
When you see a filly like this, I mean, it's unreal to suddenly have a horse of this kind of quality.
Well, you know, she's got all the tools. She's got a lot of pedigree, and you know, you always feel blessed when you have one begin to train this well and then live up to it in the afternoon.
Now, she didn't do this as a two-year-old. She didn't start as a two-year-old.
No, she came to me in December of her two-year-old year, was going to come in July. She just had a few things that were nagging her early as a two-year-old, and spent the winter at Payson Park, and just really came around in the last couple months in Florida and when she got up here.
Well, now her next stop is not New York.
Well, it's not out of the
former
question.
Chairman. Alan Dragone is a former chairman.
We've got a lot of options. We've got the turf race here that could come off the grass at the end of the month, the Sands Point. We've got the Monmouth Oaks. We've got the cotillion at Philadelphia Park. We just want to do what's in the best interest of the filly. And
how about the test at Saratoga?
Oh, that's a ways off yet.
But it is in somebody's plans,
but
I hope.
It could be in the plans, you know, if we continue it forward with good progress.
How far do you think she can go in distance?
I honestly think she really wants to go further. I mean, she certainly doesn't hit her best stride breeze in her gallop until the last 3/8 of her gallop. She gallops a mile 3/8 and always finishes up very strong. Every indication I have is that she would want to go on. She's not your typical Mr. Prospector. She's got a lot of Nijinsky in her. and she's a nice long filly that has a huge stride on her.
Okay, let's go back to your beginnings. You started with your dad? Your dad was a trainer.
My dad's a trainer. He still trains in Kentucky. He'll be up at the Saratoga meet. Actually, my sister, who's married to Kieran McLaughlin, we all three worked there at one time together for my dad. And Kieran went on to work for Wayne. I went on to, my dad told me that if I wanted to be successful, I probably needed to move on and work for some other people. And he got me hooked up with Vanberg. I went to California. I was out there for a few months, wasn't real fond of the place, and I talked to Wayne, started spending a little time talking to Wayne, and the spot came open in New York, and got to come back to New York.
And you live here now. You live in Garden City.
Right. Been all over the country, been a little bit of everywhere. Spent a lot of time in Kentucky, but and winters in Florida, but now I have a home in Garden City.
So you're an overnight success of 12 years, 14 years probably of training.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time, a lot of hard work, and a lot of luck.
How many horses have you got?
I've got 68 right now.
68. And every time you have a 2-year-old running, we're going to hear about it? Is that true? Or is there one particular one that you might want to mention?
I hate to mention it.
They always get rumored anyway, so what's the big deal? Go ahead.
You know, we've got some nice horses. Mr. Evans has a 2-year-old that won down in Aiken named Storm and Fever that may run later this summer. We've just tried to go slow with him, but he's trained well. And we've got a lot of nice bred horses. The Wolfsons have some nice babies, and just a really good group.
You're training for everybody. I want to tell you that. I've noticed that. You're training for everybody. Take a look at them. Because when you're out here, and we want you to be out here, you'll see them in the paddock, always saddling a horse, and you'll know this is one of the future and present stars of the American turf. Mark, continued good luck.
Thank you,
Right back,
Mark.
just look at some 3-year-old fillies here at Belmont.